It is the 20th annual Boise Bike Week, and it's underway this week. Treasure Valley Cycling Alliance and other organizations putting together a bunch of bicycle-themed events to encourage people to get out of the car and get out on the bike. In fact, the official kickoff event is happening tonight, and the week culminates Friday with a Bike to Work Day. Now, Bike to Work became more than just a one-day thing for one Boise man. It was a decades-long dedication that put him into a different stratosphere when it comes to dialing up the distance. Steve Hume has been bouncing around Boise on his bike for a bit. Not just today, but going back to when he was a boy.
I probably rode my bicycle to school 2-3 days a week, and then around the neighborhood a lot and so on.
And so on took on a whole new meaning when Steve and his wife had kids of their own.
Well, it was 1985. I took a new job that was downtown at City Hall, as a matter of fact. And all of a sudden, we were a one-car family, and we were kind of competing for who got to use the car that day. And
to avoid that daily dispute, Steve decided to downsize to 2 wheels.
I told my wife I was maybe going to buy a bicycle, and she thought it was just another toy out of our limited family budget. I bought the bike, and she got over not speaking to me within about a week. And from then on, I've kind of been a bicycle commuter.
His commute was only about 3 miles.
But I would take the scenic route quite often on the way home when I wasn't pressed for time,
Which meant those miles started multiplying.
And beginning of 1986, I just thought it would be fun to keep track of how far I rode. And, that year I rode a little over 2,000 miles.
So he kept riding. Every day?
Yeah, pretty much.
Rain or shine?
Rain or shine.
Or snow?
Or snow.
Did you set a goal?
I kind of became a slave to that odometer, I will confess. And it was fun to see those nice round numbers roll over, like 4,000 or 5,000. Oh, half a dozen times I made it over 6,000 miles in a year.
Numbers he knows because he kept track.
I've got it going back to 1986, month by month.
By 1997, Steve stopped using a car completely. So that 7 years later, in September 2004, just before he turned 51, Steve broke the 100,000-mile barrier. That's a long time, 86 to 2004.
Yeah, about 18 years.
Still, Steve kept on riding. One summer, he even challenged his 4-year-old granddaughter to pedal around to as many playgrounds as possible.
And over 3 months, we rode our bicycle to 91 playgrounds, I think it was. By the end of that summer, we were going to some nearby playgrounds, and she was riding on her own bicycle, so.
An accomplishment only overshadowed by Steve's next 100,000 milestone, another 18 years after his first. That's a pretty good average.
Yeah, not bad. And it seems better all the time the older I get, so that's kind of a cool thing.
What do you take away from something like that?
When I think about the time I spent riding a bike, averaging 15 miles an hour for 200,000 miles, that's a lot of hours. But then I think about all the hours I have not been sitting in traffic, and I've been just riding right past gas stations. That's kind of nice.
200,000 miles in 36 years.
I haven't aged today, though, I tell you.
It's enough to ride around the globe 8 times, or about 39,000 shy of making it to the moon. You're almost there.
Well, I don't think I'll make it to 300, but maybe I can make it to the moon.
Taking that moonshot. Well, in case you're wondering, 200,000 miles isn't even close to a record for miles covered on a bike in a lifetime. That honor belongs to a man from England who hit 1 million miles back in 2019 at the age of 82. And he started recording back in 1952. 2019 was also the same year Steve retired, but that obviously hasn't kept him off of his bike, which he is now using his 6th bike over the last 36 years. Now, back when this quest started, he says there weren't nearly as many bike lanes in Boise. The Greenbelt didn't go as far in either direction, but things have certainly gotten better for bike riders in Boise, he says. And there are a lot more like him out there. He told us on the very worst winter days, when he heads out on his bike, there are already bike tracks out there, so he knows he's not alone. And if he plans to keep his pace and hit 300,000 miles, well, Steve will be 86 18 years from now.